everybody. So I promised you a video tutorial and I wanted to show you how to make these little post-it note holders. So these are just a few examples, but this one is rubber stamped and then I've embossed it. These are artwork that I've bought, but you could use stickers and do it with your children. You could take a picture of your family and put that on there as a Christmas present for Granny and Grandad. You know, the things that you could do with these, they're endless. You can use whatever you have to hand, even pictures from a magazine would work really well. Okay, so let's get on to how we do it. And it is really simple. Get these out of the way. So just to show you, it is literally just a piece of cardboard that's been scored and folded. So I'm going to give you the measurements first and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So here are your measurements. So you're going to need a piece of card 7.5 inches long by 3.5 wide, and then you score it at 3.5 and 4 inches on the long side. Now I'll show you what that means in a minute, so don't panic if you don't know what I'm talking about. Then in centimetres, if you're a centimetre person, it needs to be 19 centimetres long by 8.9 centimetres wide, and then you score it at 8.9 and 10.2 centimetres on the long side. Then all you do is fold along your score lines to create your sticky note holder. So now I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So I'm going to take my piece of A4 card. Now this piece of card has got a texture on one side, so I want to put my measurements and do all my work on the back of it so that that doesn't show on the front. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm afraid I work in inches because I'm old, so I'm going to measure 3.5 inches and I'm going to put a little pencil mark there, and then I'm going to do 3.5 inches at the bottom and put a little pencil mark there. Now, if you haven't got a guillotine, you can just put your ruler between the two, draw a line and cut along it with your scissors. If you've got a nice steady hand, that's fine. If, like me, you've got one of these, and you don't have to have a big, heavy, expensive one like this. This is because I taught and I used to have maybe 30 people a week using it, so it needed to be sturdy and it needed to have all the little fancy things like the different blades. But you can get much cheaper ones that will do the job just as well. So that's the length. Sorry, that's the width, I should say. Now we're going to do the length. So the length, it's going to be 7.5 long. So I'm making a little pencil mark at 7.5 and another little pencil mark at 7.5. And then I'm going to get my guillotine or paper trimmer or whatever you like to call it. And I'm going to cut along there. Okay, so now we just do the scoring. So this is the long side, this is the short side. Okay, so make sure it's nice and flat. Get your ruler and your pencil. Right, so now we want to do the lines for the scoring. So you're going to score at 3.5 and at 4. And then just measure the same at the bottom. 3.5 and 4. Just put a little mark there. Then, this is an embossing tool. You need to put your ruler just slightly further away from your markings because you need the space for the tool to go in there. If you put it right across, your score is going to go further along, if that makes any sense. So put your ruler just behind those marks and then score. Now you can do this with the back of a pair of metal scissors. You could possibly do it with a skewer, I don't know, if you haven't got an embossing tool. But obviously, if you've got the right tools, it's much easier and you get the better result. These aren't mega bucks, they're not too expensive. You can use a bone folder as well, which is what that is. And you would use the end of that. These are really useful. So now I'll show you what these are good for apart from your score lines. So now we're going to fold this, and then I'm going to use my bone folder, which is this, to just make that crease nice and sharp, and the same this side, make it nice and sharp. Okay, and you've literally got your sticky note holder. So now it's up to you what you want to do to decorate it. You could, as I say, you could put a photograph that you like on there. You could put somebody's football team on there. You could put whatever you like on there. I'm going to show you how to do something like this. So when I'm doing these, I like to do what we call matting and layering. And if you're not sure what that is, I'll show you. So what we do to make the focal point really pop out is use some layers, so that when it goes on, you really focus in on the focal point here. If I put it on without, it still looks nice. You could do it like that. There's no reason why you couldn't just leave it like that, and that looks fine. But I'm one of those that likes to do mats and layers. So all I've done is taken a piece of paper, and whatever size the focal point is going to be, maybe if I do this on card it might be easier for you to see. Just have a look, measure how big your focal point is. So the width of this is about 2 7/8, and that's all the way around. So I would make it just a little bit bigger than that all the way around, and then cut that piece out. And then you want another layer which is just slightly bigger than that. You can do it by eye, you don't have to measure it all, you could just do it by eye. But anyway, so then I would get my mats and my layers. So these are called mats, and when you put them together, that's matting and layering. That's what we call it. So then I would get my lovely Highland cow. What I'm using here is called a glue runner, or some people call it a transfer pen, but it transfers your glue onto the back of the product. So you could use a Pritt stick, you could use PVA glue, you could use whatever really you've got to hand. You can use double-sided tape, whatever you fancy using, just use that. So then get it centered. I've got a wonky eye, so I'm not sure if that's centered, but it's good enough. And then here's your other layer. So we're just gonna put another layer of glue on here. Okay, so now put some glue on this one. Now I'm using Stampin' Up! What they call grid paper, which is quite useful if you want to line things up. But you could use a cutting mat, or you could just do it by eye. It's entirely up to you. Or if you've got graph paper, your kids might have graph paper you could borrow, and just lay it down on that. So just try and line it up as straight as you can. Pop it down, and then removing the cat hair, pop that on top. Again, just try and get it straight and even. Don't press it down until you're fairly sure you've got it right. I think that's about right. And then the other thing a bone folder is good for is what we call burnishing, is making sure that things are stuck down. This is a Stampin' Up! One. I haven't worked for Stampin' Up! For a long time, but I would say their products are good. But you can get any of these things, you can get bone folders at any craft shop basically, and the tape pens you can get at any craft shop. Make sure you get permanent, not removable or repositionable, because otherwise it'll come off. So the next thing we want to do is get our sticky notes. That one's got its backing missing, I don't know why. So now for this, again, you can use whatever glue you've got to hand, but I tend to use double-sided tape, and this red double-sided tape is very strong, as you can see, although it's sticking to my scissors. So this is a very strong product. So you lay it down. Put a few strips on to make sure that it stays where it's supposed to stay. Oh, it doesn't want to cut. This is because my scissors are sticky. Right, one in the middle. Okay. Now, again, use your bone folder. You can use the back of scissors. You don't have to have a bone folder. Don't think you need all sorts of fancy things. Just use the back of a pair of scissors to do this. So then you peel off the backing, she said, with no nails. Peel it all off. Lay this down lined up. And then I wouldn't put it too close to the top, so put it a little bit further down from the top of the score line and try and get it central. And then you're literally done. That's it, folks. So any questions, give me a shout. Any comments, let me know what you think. If you like doing that, then next time we could do something like this. And these are ones I made last year, but these are calendars that you could make for your loved ones, and they stand up on their own like this. And the way I've done them is left some space at the back that you can put a message, so you could send these instead of a Christmas card if you wanted to, or as well as a Christmas card. The other thing I would say is if you're giving these as a gift, it can be nice to put them into a cellophane bag. So with your post-it note holder, sticky note holder, you can pop it into a cellophane bag, stick that down with some tape at the back, and it looks like a proper gift. This stuff is only showing because it's adhesive. It will come off, so you can take that off, fold this over and stick it down with tape, and it will look nice and professional and a proper gift as well. There we go, all done.